Hey guys, it's been a while since I've made one of these videos, but from what I can remember from the last few I made, everyone seemed to want me to make a guide on extra ultimates. So this video is kind of going to focus on what the extra ultimates are, what they do, my opinions of them. I'm not going to get so much into the details of how to effectively use them and rush them to make sure you can craft them every game. I'll probably make a separate video about that stuff later, but for now this will be a sort of beginner's guide to extra ultimates. So extra ultimates are found in this furnace here in the shop, and each one of them requires that you max out certain professions first, so that's how you get them, and then you have to buy them. So we'll just kind of go in order, I guess. I might jump around a little bit depending on, or yeah, let's start with dice first and then we'll go in order after that. So dice is kind of unique in that when you craft it, it randomly gives you another extra ultimate. The only ones you can't get are another dice, Chest of Fate, and Daredevil, but you can get anything else by crafting Dice of God. So as I was saying, with needing to max out professions, you can see it says requires Bloodcraft and Engineering. So you have to completely max those out, and then it costs 100,000 coins to get Dice of God. So that's how all of these work. They each require different professions, and then you just buy them. And all the extra ultimates you can only craft once per game. So I'm not going to go over what each craft is, because that'll get complicated, and I don't have a visual without going into the hallway over there. So I'll put a link to Jayavarmen's thread on the forums, and in that thread you'll be able to figure out what each of the crafts are. But Dice of God gives you a random extra ultimate, so it's pretty good, but there are some items that aren't so good that you can get from it, like Void Box or Essence, but for the most part you'll get something good, usually. So next is Artemis, or Artemis bow, however you want to pronounce that. I'm sure there's a correct way, but I don't know what it is off the top of my head. So Artemis is a power 3 bow, and the hunting enchantment on it, there's, I believe it's either 25 or 30% chance of homing to enemies if you're within a certain range of them. So even if you miss, it's like 10 to 15 blocks, I don't know the exact number, but you've got to be reasonably close to them. There's a percentage chance of the arrow actually homing to the player. Now those home shots do the damage of an unenchanted bow, so it's not like all those home shots are dealing power 3s. So some people say it's OP, but to be honest, I'd rather have like a power 4 than an Artemis, but that's because I like to think I'm good at bow. But if you're not so good at bow, then yeah, Artemis will be great, because if you're missing shots, you could still potentially hit people. And it's good if people like wall up, you can still potentially hit them if you like lob it over and it'll curve back into them. So yeah, that's about it for Artemis. Flask of Vicar, it's a instant damage 3 potion. It doesn't hurt you or your teammates, so you don't have to worry about accidentally killing your teammates with it. That's pretty self-explanatory. I wouldn't say it's OP or underpowered. It's probably won't change anytime soon. And that's something I should bring up now, I guess, before I get into all of these. There is an update coming soon, and don't ask in the comments. I don't know anything about the update. I don't know what's going to get changed, but all the stuff I tell you about this could potentially change. You never know. I'll probably make an update video once that does happen, if any of these change significantly. But stuff could get nerfed, stuff could get buffed. I'll kind of go over my thoughts on that, but I don't know what will happen, but I'll tell you what I think should happen. And that also doesn't mean it will happen, but just what I think. Exodus. So Exodus is, in my opinion, the most overpowered extra ultimate. It does cost the most. You need 4 different professions and 350k, which is a lot. That's what I'm saving for right now, actually. So I'm pretty close. But what Exodus does, it doesn't have any enchants on it, so you don't get like protection or proj prot, and you can't put it on, as far as I know, without losing the extra effect on it, which the extra effect is anytime you hit an opponent, whether it's melee, bow shot, eggs, snowballs, rods, anytime you hit an enemy, you gain 1 second of regen 1, which is like half a heart, something like that. So I think it's pretty overpowered. If you could get it so rods and snowballs didn't give you that effect, then I think it'd be a little bit more balanced, but we'll see. That could be something that gets buffed, but maybe not, just because it's so expensive, so not many people have it. But if someone has Exodus, you're going to want to melee rush them. That's really your only chance, because unless you're just way better at bow than they are, then you're not going to be able to beat them in a bow fight, because they're going to be constantly getting regen. Whereas if you melee them, the regen won't be fast enough to make a huge difference. I mean, it's still obviously an advantage, but it won't be as big of a deal if you melee them. So hide. Hide is prot 4, like respiration 5, diamond pants. It's one of the ultimates that I think is kind of underpowered, because it takes 9 diamonds to craft it, which is pretty expensive, and you only get prot 4, which, yeah, prot 4 is the most you can go, but dragon armor is much cheaper, and it's also prot 4, so, and it's not even an extra ultimate, so I think hide either needs an extra effect on it, or dragon armor needs to get nerfed. But yeah, hide could definitely use some sort of effect, maybe relating to water, like give you like Depth Strider or something like that, but that could potentially make the anti-cheat do weird things, so I don't know how that would help, but I think either something needs to happen with hide to make it better, or dragon armor should be nerfed, but it's still good. Tablets. Tablets is a Power 3 Punch, Sharp 3 Fire 2 book. So personally I tend to go with the Power 3 Punch because I'm a bow guy, but if you make like a dragon sword and put Sharp 3 Fire 2 on it, it's pretty OP. I wouldn't say it's overpowered or anything like that. I think it's pretty balanced because it is kind of a pain to make. It's got some different things in it in the recipe that you don't typically have on you. So I'd say it's probably gonna stay the same, and it's pretty good. Like you can see, I have it. I use it every now and then, but it's kind of a pain to make. Axe of Perun. So if you've been on the forums or in game, you probably already know what this is. It's an axe, or diamond axe, that deals or strikes the enemy with lightning when you hit them. Everyone seems to think it's the most overpowered thing in the game, which I don't really agree with. There's a 3-second cooldown on the lightning, and personally I find it really easy to avoid meleeing someone, so if I see they have axe, it's not really an issue because I probably wasn't going to melee them anyway. But the lightning does true damage, so even if someone has the best armor possible in the game, it'll do like, let's say, like 2.5, 3 hearts of true damage. So it is good, but it's not as overpowered as everyone makes it out to be. I could see it getting nerfed in the update, just because so many people complain about it, but I don't think it necessarily needs to be. But it's probably the most common ultimate for people to use, or extra ultimate for people to use. That seems to be everyone's first purchase. I don't have it yet. I don't plan on getting it, but, or at least not anytime soon. But it is good, and it might get nerfed. Who knows? Don't quote me on that. I have no idea what will happen, but a lot of people want it nerfed, so it'll probably get nerfed. Excalibur, I think, is the most underpowered, well, not necessarily the most underpowered, but the most underpowered extra ultimate considering how hard it is to craft. It's a ridiculous craft. You need, what, like 4 TNT pufferfish diamond and blaze powder or something like that. Something ridiculous like that. It's hard to craft, and it doesn't really do much. When you hit people, there's an explosion. It doesn't actually blow anything up. The explosion doesn't even seem to do any damage. It just kind of knocks people back. That's all I really ever see it do, and you can't put enchants on it, so it's just a regular diamond sword that might do a little bit more damage with the explosion, but it really doesn't seem like it does. And there's a cooldown on it also, so it's really not that good. Personally, I would never try to craft it. If I got it from Dice, I'd probably use it unless my sword was really good, but it's not that great. I think it would be pretty cool if it actually did kind of simulate a TNT explosion, so if you hit someone or even just hit the ground, it just like blew up the ground. I think that would be pretty cool, and it would be pretty unique. So if they could implement something like that, I think that'd be pretty cool. But for now, I think it's pretty bad. Andoril. So Andoril, oh, by the way, these are my new sword textures. The ultimates, or extra ultimates, don't actually look like that. These are just normal swords. Diamond and iron. Andoril is a iron sword with sharp 1, and it also gives you a speed 1 and resistance 1 effect when you hold it. So it has to be in your hands, it can't just be in your inventory. So a lot of people think it needs to be buffed. Personally, I don't think it really needs to be. If it was going to be buffed, I think it should just be sharp 2, and that's it. Like the only extra thing added to it might be sharp 2 instead of sharp 1. I saw someone on the forum say they wanted it to be speed 2. That would be ridiculous. Like, that'd be so OP. So hopefully that doesn't happen. I think it's pretty balanced right now because sharp 1 iron is okay, but you also have resistance, so it makes it a little bit better. Plus speed 1 you can use to escape with, you can chase people down. I don't think the intent of Andoril is supposed to be your overpowered melee weapon. It's the speed and resistance is supposed to be the point of Andoril. Like, use the speed to your advantage. If you want to bow someone, you can keep bowing them. If they get close, just run away with Andoril and then keep bowing them again. So there's other ways to use it. It's not supposed to be your main melee weapon. At least that's what I don't think it's supposed to be. So I kind of like Andoril the way it is. Deathscythe, I think, is pretty overpowered. It is kind of costly to make, but it deals 20% of the enemy's current HP. So if they're at 40, then you'll deal 8. So what's that? 4 hearts. So 3 hits gets them to about half health if they start at full health. So they could be full diamond, Exodus, Dragon Armor, Hide, 7 leagues. You hit them 3 times at Deathscythe, they're at half health, and there's no cooldown on it, so you can do it as fast as you can hit them. So I think it's pretty OP. Like, yeah, you're not going to kill them with it, but you just got them to half health before they could probably get a couple hits on you. So I think it's kind of broken. I think there should be a cool. I don't know if a cooldown would really work. That'd make it pretty bad, but I think it needs to be reworked somehow. But it's not many people make it, so it's not a huge pain. Chest of Fate is a chest that you make where there's a chance of it blowing you up and dealing 10 hearts of damage, or you get an Absorption 4 potion. The Absorption 4 potion is ridiculous because there's a chance, or not a chance, sorry, if it's 10 Absorption hearts, you get a full row of Absorption hearts, and if you lose them, and then you eat a gapple and you still have you still haven't exhausted this potion, like the effect's still there. If you eat a gapple, you get all 10 Absorption hearts back. So it's like the equivalent of using a notch, essentially. Not quite as good, obviously, but you can tank a lot of damage with it. So I think it's pretty overpowered. So I think it should be nerfed a little bit, but it's not too bad. Cornucopia is, well, they're not golden carrots, they're actually called cornucopia, but they give you saturation and absorption 1 for 10 minutes. So it's convenient, I guess, but not something I'd probably ever really craft. It can be nice with the absorption, but I think it's more of a way to nerf Dice of God. It's okay, but not the best extra ultimate by any means. Essence is 32 XP bottles. Yeah, 32. I think it's so underpowered because you need an enchanting table to make it. So it seems I don't know anyone that's ever crafted it. I'm sure someone has, but again, I think it's a way to nerf dice. But people want it to be buffed, but if all of these underpowered stuff get buffed, then dice is just overpowered at that point. Like, if there's no chance of you getting something bad. So, I mean, maybe if you have a spare enchanting table, then sometimes you might need XP, so it's worth making it, but typically you're not going to make this. So, Void Box is just, as far as I know, it's just nether chests, or ender chests. So, again, I think this is something to nerf Dice of God. I don't know why you would ever make it, because it costs a head, and you can mine it and get obsidian, which you could use for stuff, but not very good. I think it'd be pretty cool if they made it so it gave you like 3, and all of your teammates could see the same loot inside the chest. I think that could potentially be useful if you're on opposite sides of the map and someone needs healing or something like that. I think that'd be pretty helpful, and it wouldn't be so broken that it would make dice ridiculous, but I think that'd be a pretty cool effect to have on it. Deuce. So it has this warning on here, it costs half of your health to craft it. I don't own Deuce, so I've never done it, but I assume it means exactly what it says. You lose half your current health, so if you're at 10 hearts, you're going to be at 5 hearts. If you're at 20 hearts, you lose 10 hearts. So ideally, you would do this right after a fight, and you'd be low, and you craft it, and you get a potion that gives you resistance 5 for like 10 seconds or something like that. So you're invincible for 10 seconds. So it's pretty good, but unless you're like in a hole with someone, you'll probably drink it, get a couple hits, and then they'll either run away or they'll be out of your range, so it doesn't get used very well all the time. King's Rod, it gives you like lure and what is it, luck of the sea or whatever. So they kind of cancel each other out. I think one might outweigh the other by 1. I think it's luck of the sea, but it's pointless for fishing. People just kind of make it because I think it has unbreaking on it also. So if you rot a lot, it's unbreaking. Another thing that nerfs Dice of God. So since I think it nerfs Dice of God, I don't think they should change it, but maybe taking away the lure would help so people can actually try and fish for good things. Daredevil is a horse with max stats, and it looks like a skeleton horse. It doesn't, you can't heal it, you can't put armor on it, it only heals from natural regen. So it's really fast, it's hard to use. A lot of people think it's broken, but I don't think it's too bad. You can make it in deathmatch, which is pretty overpowered. I think if they took that out, I think it'd be pretty balanced. But it's pretty fun to use. If you're not good at bow, you're not going to do well on Daredevil. You're not going to be meleeing people from Daredevil. And it is pretty tough to shoot people from it. But if you're really good at bow, then it's a pretty good thing. I use it a lot, so I highly recommend it. So that about covers everything. If you have any questions, feel free to comment either in this video, or I'll make a thread on the forums for this video so you can comment on there asking questions also, or just message me in game. So thanks for watching.